Hey everybody, it's Jeremy, just here to tell you that you can go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and support this show directly. Get access to cool stuff, pick out games for Gary and Cole to cover on their various shows, get access to the Slack, and become a better person overall. We thank each and every one of you that have already done this, and if you've been on the fence, I promise you it's a good time. I've been a Patreon member for like a long time, like years before I even had the show, so I can tell you with all honesty that it's a great time. Thanks, and enjoy this episode. I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast. And Gary and I are trapped in the Avengers Mansion and we cannot get out. Ultron, please come save us. We don't want to be here anymore. They keep putting different bits of armor on me, Gary. I don't need any of these armors. Get them off of me.
At the end of every session of Gary and Jeremy being trapped in the Avengers Mansion, Ultron shows up and threatens to come rescue us, and then doesn't.
And there's an extended scene with the Zodiac, because apparently those are people that have never heard of again. Whew.
I was kind of into those guys.
We're going to get there today in the second episode, because
collection of extremely bad designs.
I mean, it's Scorpio, because I'm a Scorpio,
dude. So
I have this like kind of attachment to anything that's labeled as a Scorpio, because people are dumb, and that design compared to something like the Dark Souls 2 boss, whose name I can't remember, Nagda, Nagress or something.
Najda, Scorpioness Majda.
Yeah,
Najda.
Who looks like a actual like woman and a scorpion attached. This dude just has a tail coming off of his head. It's the most insane thing ever.
He's got a tail coming off his head, and he has the same way, like, say, a crab will have one big claw and one small claw. He has like mega arm and then like regular arm, and he doesn't fight. He's a schemer. He mostly works computers.
He's an IT guy.
He gets
the IT Scorpion.
Yep. He's the the IT Scorpion is much better in the British version.
Sure, absolutely.
Actually, the 6-episode series of the IT Scorpion. When they brought it to America, they really dumbed it down.
Yeah, they gave him 2 claws. Duh.
Yeah,
you're going to ruin the character.
He just mostly walks around and farts, and then like it's way more lowbrow.
Who's the Ricky Gervais of the IT Scorpion? I guess the British personality.
It had to be Taurus in this version, who is also like. Did you get a load of Taurus's pants?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. What a load of pants! They're really special. You like got them from the Swordsman or something. Like the costume design in this show, it hasn't been consistently bad. It's gotten worse, and I just keep thinking like episode 12 is just going to be everyone is like they hit random on the MMO character creator.
Yeah, it's just going to be an episode of Monster Factory, like just come to life and animated. Which if they, I'm sure the McElroy brothers have
Factory
done
Legends
in there.
Yeah, just like what if like the Smash Brothers for Monster Factories.
So if you couldn't tell, we are currently watching Avengers United They Stand. This is the 1999 cartoon series that focuses on a kind of B-tier team of Avengers without all of our bigs, including, although we sporadically meet them. Last episode we met Captain America. This week we're going to meet Iron Man, who is maybe the worst the worst representation of Iron Man I've seen in a long time.
He's not very competent.
No, nor does he have a mouth in the armor, which seems like an oversight. But what do I know?
That is a very specific armor that he had at this time that is pretty shitty. I had the action figure of that Iron Man. Because when those movies hit big, they made like action figures of pretty much all of the Iron Man armors. And I definitely have this weird smooth tube version of him.
Smooth tube. The whole time I was thinking, like, what if that dude gets thirsty in the suit? Like, what happens? Does he have pockets of water on the inside? How does he drink? He's an alcoholic. You're telling me he keeps vodka in that suit?
How in the dentist they have those little things that rinse out your mouth. He's just got those in the corner of his mouth, and Jarvis can just like hose it down his palate.
Do you think he's got like? Do you ever think he gets the intake and the outtake confused? So he's sucking through his spit cup, because he's got to have a spit cup if he has one of those in there.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. Like the idea of having, I'm just imagining like being trapped in that condensed of an area with like a chaw. Ramekin, like a ramekin of chaw. leave-ins. Like, it's really fucking disgusting. There's a lot of really gross ways to take nicotine into your body.
I've been reading I kind of stopped because I finished the series, but those Expanse novels, which are like some sci-fi novels, and all of the suits in there basically have chin controls. So throughout the entire series, and there's a good 6 books spanning 100 something years, everybody is constantly chinning controls. So Bobby chinned the controls to do this, and I just every time it happens, like I think to myself, and I try to like picture myself trying to chin something on, and it just. Gary, I wouldn't be very good at it. That's why Jarvis exists, so you could tell Jarvis to do something, so you don't have to use your chin.
It's pretty weird that there aren't voice controls in the Expanse novels, because we have those now. I'm like,
turns out Siri was a bad idea, and we got rid of it 200 years ago.
We replaced it with Amazon Chin, which is a way to order things through Chin.
The secret to the Expanse novels, and I'm sorry I'm going to spoil this on Days of Future Cast for anybody that's reading it, but all of the descendants on Earth are from Jay Leno, so everything is chin controlled. Okay. Yes, that's the big reveal at the end after they meet the aliens. So
we assume there's just one big button that you hit with your chin, but there's actually multiple buttons, and you flex different parts of your chin. It's actually pretty complicated. It's about as complicated as an N64 controller.
Oh God! Imagine doing the C buttons on that with just the Jay Leno chin.
Yeah, just flexing my upper right chin.
This is the Dark Souls challenge run I've always wanted. It's just Jay Leno doing it with his chin. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there's a live show called Pushing Buttons, a song called Pushing Buttons that DJ Shadow, Cut Chemist, and Newmark do like a whole set. It's like 8 or 9 minutes of them like doing turntable like sample stuff. At a part in the middle, it's a live thing. All 3 of them lean down and start doing the beats with their chin. So actually, I guess maybe chin controls are dope. So maybe I should back the fuck off my steez then.
I'm not going to lie to you, Jeremy. All those people are cool, but that doesn't sound cool.
It's a dope song. Like I will say, it's a really great song. But yeah, it does not sound cool at all.
Yeah, the part with the chin doesn't sound cool. Like, just the coolest person in the world can do something with their chin. I still don't think it's that cool.
That's the secret about a lot of hip hop. Is it's always like it's much
all chin.
It's all chin. They all don't know why they call it chin hop. We've just invented a genre, Gary. Let's just from now on we're just gonna be chin hop or nothing. Let's talk about this episode before we get just into a rabbit hole of DJ Shadow and Cut Chemist CDs.
Yeah, Cut Chemist and Chins McGillicuddy. The secret Dark Horse rapper. Yes, we're talking about 2 episodes today. First one is season 1, episode 7. This is To Rule Atlantis. Mysterious underwater earthquakes are occurring, so the Avengers head to the Sea Kingdom of Atlantis to talk to its ruler Namor. A lot more happens than that. Like, that just sounds like that's the setup for the episode.
Yeah, these IMDb descriptions leave a lot to be desired. Like, they're not as full of craziness as I was used to seeing. I might have to go seek some other descriptions out to see if I can find something crazy. In the meantime, Namor is here, and I need to get Gary Butterfield's opinion on some Namor because I kind of hate this dude.
I don't hate Namor. I think Namor is kind of fun. Like, he's a big jerk, and he kind of sucks, but I think he's kind of fun in that way. I liked it when he was in the X-Men for a little bit because he's a mutant. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed him in that series, and I actually think he's kind of fun in this episode. Just as being something that's like this weird, for some reason, being half Atlantean. Like, he's the most powerful fucker in the world. Like, he outclasses all of the Avengers. Mm-hmm. I never really understood why Namor is, Hulk level strong, seemingly, and has all these powers. I kind of, I don't know, I kind of dig this episode. I think both these episodes are kind of dumb fun. Like, they're both extremely stupid, but there's a lot of weird, dumb new armors and goofy designs. There's a part where Hank Pym gets really big and throws Mini Shark Man.
Yes.
That I just think is very funny. Like, I don't know. I kind of like these episodes, and I kind of like Namor in this episode.
I like that every time that we meet a new character who is, like, vaguely represented as handsome, they've got to hit on Wanda. And that happens consistently throughout this entire thing. Like, it's basically Wanda is basically the love interest for every single mutant or superhero that we meet in this show.
It's super weird, too, because I assumed that what they were doing was they were substituting in Wanda for Sue Storm. So, like, real Namor has a huge boner for Sue Storm.
Yeah.
And that's, like, a way that they've stopped him from flooding New York before, is like, what if Sue goes down and flirts with him a little bit and he won't drown? Yeah. He won't 9/11 to us.
I'm just picturing this as because we've been watching a lot of Always Sunny, so just that like splash screen of the gang lets Reed Richards get cucked, and and saves New York. Like thanks Reed for letting Namor borrow your wife for a little while.
It happens all the time.
I know,
actually,
man. It's really bad. It's really gross.
It's really weird. It's super weird, but it's mutual. Like she's not like she thinks Namor is hot too. It's just like, and why wouldn't you if you were married to Reed Richards? Come on, guys, it's square.
Guy's a total nerdlinger.
Yeah, Whereas Namor, like constantly like supercut, constantly shirtless, constantly wet, which is like not that sexy. He's just whatever you touch him, he's kind of moist. Like that's not super sexy.
I don't know. That could be a thing that girls are into nowadays. I don't know. It's 2018, man. Maybe the wet look is in. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm single. I have no idea what women are into now. So
I barely know what Autumn is into. So that's pretty much my limit of understanding.
I'm gonna go on Queer Eye, and they're just gonna be like, "Get moist." Like, all right. Okay, I didn't expect that advice, but sure.
Here's an avocado and a bucket of water. Which one is for which? Which one is for my skin and which one is for my stomach? I don't know.
What do you want from me?
Help me, Brandon. I don't remember any of the Queer Eye guys' names.
There might be a Brandon. No, I kind of like Namor in this episode. I don't think he's like I've never read a solo Namor comic. I just liked him when he joined the X-Men, and I liked a couple Avengers stories and Fantastic Four stories where he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's weird thinking that because I went back and when I was kind of getting jazzed about X-Men again a couple of years ago, I went back and like read a lot of the big stories I missed, and there was that Phoenix thing where the Phoenix comes back and like splits off into 6 Phoenixes.
Yeah.
And like
the Phoenix Force 5 or whatever.
Yeah, and Namor is one. He's like a Phoenix dude. And I was like, where is this? Like it's Emma Frost, Cyclops, Colossus, one of the I can't remember who it wasn't. Maybe it was Magic, but I don't think it was Magic. And Namor, and I'm like, what the fuck? How does Namor get here? Like, what did I miss? Why is Namor hanging out with the X-Men at all? So
yeah. It's I haven't read that one, but I remember reading about it. Mm-hmm. It's fucking weird.
It is extremely weird. So this episode starts off with a news reporter basically saying like, oh hey, we repaired all of the damage to Big Ben after the last earthquake, and then immediately an earthquake happens and tears down Big Ben, which I kind of like.
I love it. It's very funny. Like there's been a bunch of earthquakes. Good thing Big Ben's safe. She's very concerned about Big Ben, like it's a giant man named Ben. Like she's very like talking about it like it's. And I understand British people love that dumbass clock, but like it's just it's just very funny, and then it immediately falls over. Like it happens very quick.
It just immediately, and it's funny because like she doesn't have anything close to a British accent. She's just an American reporter, or she could just be on the Avengers staff, because we go back to the Avengers mansion and they're just watching this on TV. I'm still not sure what is actually being filmed where, because I think at the end of this episode, like Ultron has been watching the entire episode along with me and you, Gary. Like if they just zoom out and it's on TV.
Ultron got the Shout Factory DVD set of the Avengers life.
Paying that extra $10 a month on his Prime subscription to get the Avengers without commercials.
The worst deal. So they head out in their Quinjet. Hank says, hey, the earthquakes are not natural. Tiger is freaking out, which is one of the funny, because now that like I've grown to love my dumb Avengers sons, like now that I think that the fact that these characters are incompetent and stupid is good. Now the fact that one of the things we'll get to in this episode is fully 2 members of the Avengers are unequipped to deal with this adventure that we're in now, and they just didn't think about it at all. Like, Tiger's scared of water, and Vision can't be away from the sun, and yet no one thought to mention it, and they just go for it.
Don't you have each other's trading cards? Like, shouldn't Hawkeye have brought this up at some point?
Jesus Christ, like, what? Like, I am generally on Team Hank Pym, but if you don't know this about your team, you are a shitty fucking leader. So Tiger's freaking out about saying, Clint just goes, it's Namor. And then he's like, we don't know that it's Namor. And he goes, if somebody's causing earthquakes, it's Namor. It's like, yeah, okay, bud.
How many earthquakes has Namor caused is the question that we need to, like, where's the prequel to this where we see him causing all kinds of earthquakes?
Quake Origins. So they explain like who Namor is. One of the things I like about the show is that again, this sounds like I'm way more positive than I was. I had a little bit of fun after watching these episodes. I'm still jazzed from that. And I'm sleep deprived.
And I'm real high. And
I'm high and a little bit drunk. But is that they don't pretend like they're introducing this shit. So it's not like this isn't them first meeting Namor. Like, I like that the show implies like a history. You know, like all these people know who Namor is. He's been around. We're not going to insult the audience by saying like Namor first appeared here when he was back from like he fought in World War II. Namor is a World War II veteran. You know.
Yeah, they don't go into to a lot of detail. Just basically kind of telling us like, hey, he can be a good dude sometimes and he can be a bad dude sometimes.
Yeah.
They Jan gets assigned to basically do like, you know, quake relief, if you will. The new game.
We need somebody incredibly small.
Quake relief.
We need somebody small and weak to lift this rubble off these people.
Yeah. Do you want to send any of our strong, large people? No. Here's a wasp. Here's a literal wasp to help you.
Yep. You have the disaster relief skills proportional to a wasp.
I think, is this the only part of the episode where we get our armor montage? I feel like even the show that is trying to come up with reasons to show us armor montages is failing to come up with armor montages. Because, like, Jan goes through this whole thing and it's like, I'm going to London. Dun, dun, dun. Like, it does the thing.
And then we don't really see her again.
Yeah.
Well, it's because they wear their underwater armor. So they would have to do a whole new montage.
Oh, man.
They can't do the space armor comes next time. One of the things I was thinking about is how silly it is that they have their own designs for these. And none of them are good or anything. Like, they don't actually reflect their costumes. They just have, like, random boomerangs attached to them, it looks like. Just, like, weird things at 45-degree angles off of their underwater and their space armor, which are separate. Like, they could just have, like, a standardized... Like, I always liked it in the X-Men when they all wear the same, like, standard... Like, there's, like, the X-Men spacesuit.
Yeah.
Everyone, like, it feels like a uniform. And here, again, it just looks like somebody rolled a Katamari through a junkyard and then just turned that into a costume.
It's like somebody just like dripped sprinkles on top of the ice cream cone that is Hawkeye. It came out the other side. That's exactly what it is. There's a scene in the
a dilly bar, bub.
There's a scene in the next episode where and this may have just happened and I wasn't paying attention to it previous to this, but there's the two, like, he's got two, like you said, like 45 like boomerang looking things coming out at 45-degree angles from his shoulders. And Iron Man tells him to do something, and again, this is the next episode, not this one. He just, like, grabs both of them, and one in each hand, and then puts it together into a bow, and then fires an arrow, and I'm like, wait a minute, why wouldn't you just have a bow? Like, why would you ever need a bow in two parts? Like, what is a bow ever going to do for you? Two parts that stick out. Like, I can see if you wanted to hide it, if you were being stealthy or something. Like, I don't want people...
going through security.
Sure, yeah. Fucking, this show is so ridiculous with the armor. The underwater armor stuff is just as ridiculous too. Like, and Tigra is freaking out the entire time, which is really funny to me.
And nobody, you know, I'm not a psychologist, but I can figure out why she's freaking out. You know, and it's about 15 minutes into the episode that somebody finally just like asks and she says what it is. And again, it's just fear of water. Yeah. It's like the aliens and signs who invaded, despite the fact that there's tons of fucking water here. You'd think she'd just be like, well, I'm too scared to go on this mission. You know, let me go to the relief thing. And she says that, but she doesn't say why, so nobody takes it seriously.
Mm-hmm. And in a really sad moment when that happens is when she says, like, I didn't think the Avengers would allow me to stay in the Avengers if I told them. And I'm like, man, what have these people been doing to make you
this is a cutthroat bad team. Like, everyone's on probation the entire time. You know? Like, you'll never know security on the West Coast Avengers. You can get shunted down to the Great Lakes Avengers any moment. So the Quinjet turns into the Quinn submarine, and the Avengers get out in their weird ass water armor, and it's, you know, pretty goofy and bad looking. Falcon says, "Hey, Tigra, what's going on with you?" But then they get shot by these blue guys, and Tigra immediately panics and gets captured in net, and it's Rogue, and she's just screaming, and it's like a good voice performance. It's a little bit disturbing, like, you know, she sells the fear.
As much as we're goofing on it, I actually like the whole Tigra subplot to this whole thing. Like, it feels like one of the most real things in the story, especially the kind of redemption at the end that happens. Like, all of this stuff the Tigra stuff. It really works for me, where the armor stuff does not.
Yeah, there's some okay like character work in this episode, I think. You know, not so much in the next one, but the next one does have just like the goofiest fucking designed villains, like a whole bunch of on loan from the He-Man collection, villains, and like I'm into that. So they get captured. They had split up. I can't remember why, but Falcon and Tigra split up because the Vision is over hanging out with Hank Pym. He's like, "Hey, I remember being here. Have I been here?" Hank's like, "Wonder Man was here once."
Yeah, so, the constant reminder that Vision and Wonder Man are basically the same weird congealed body.
I have this weird feeling that's not going to pay off.
Oh God, if it doesn't, here I'm waiting. I'm waiting for this.
Well, it's been brought up every episode, and we had a highlight episode about it where the Vision decided to figure out if synthezoids were people or not or whatever. Like, I don't know, man. I could see them just not doing it. You know, after this we got 4 more episodes. We got 4 more episodes after this. I can just kind of see them just not doing it. I hope they do.
I would be very upset. Hank and Vision get attacked, and there's kind of a back and forth. They're getting attacked by basically like weird fish blue dude monsters. Hank gets kind of thrown over, and it's at the feet of Namor. And if you haven't seen Namor's feet in a while, remember he's got those weird little wings on his ankles. Another reason I kind of don't like Namor. I've always thought those wings were weird and gross.
They're flesh. Like they're not part of a costume.
Yeah, they're
he doesn't wear clothes.
For a minute, I thought you meant like because they're feathers, right? They're not flesh. But for a minute, I was like, flesh wings coming out of my feet. God, this is just gross. Bad. I don't like any of this.
I just mean that they're not part of his shoes.
Yeah,
Namor doesn't wear shoes. Namor just wears a Speedo, and like that's it. And he doesn't when the Avengers aren't in town. Like.
Why would you ever wear clothes if you were Namor? You'd just be naked all the time.
Water? Yeah.
With your big old whale dick. Right? Yeah. If you're Namor, you got to have a whale dick. That's just
my sperm whale. Like,
yeah, it's the way this works.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys learned in sex ed from where you were from, but down in Louisiana, we learned.
Yeah. the Namors have whale dicks. The public education system is not good.
It's not great. Yeah, we didn't get to condoms until I was 26 years old. Yeah.
Your math textbook was called "Namors Have Whale Dicks." I'm like, it's 1 whale dick plus 1/2 a whale dick times 3/4 of a whale dick.
If a whale dick leaves New York traveling at 45. Anyway. Screw you, Betty Davos, and this whale dick-based education system.
Is this Common Core? Like Common Cock, whale dick math?
This is what I like to call Uncommon Core. So yeah, Hank falls in front of Namor, who like picks up Hank's little water scooter thing that he was riding around on. All of the vehicles in this are very terrible. I feel like we don't give enough attention to them, but like in any given episode, somebody is riding around on something that's real dumb. Namor just picks this up and explodes it, and then we go through a commercial break, and then all of the Avengers are kind of
well, and I guess like he picks it up like it's kind of a baller move. Like again, me liking Namor, like Hank falls in front. Namor says like, "This is your way out," destroys it, and says this battle's over. Like he's pretty. Like I think they do a good job of selling him as being like tough.
Yeah,
you know. He's a threat.
And he's kind of a hard ass. And even in this scene, he's kind of a hard ass where he's like, I don't trust any of you guys. You know, we think that you could be doing the quakes. And they're like, why don't you? I mean, why would we trust you? Like, you restrained us. You beat us up and put us in cuffs.
Yep.
And there's basically there's a whole council that he's got of like weird looking fish dudes that are like, yes, it could be the humans. They've hated us for a long time, and there's all of this instability. They could be causing this. Like trying to have this political subplot, like Game of Thrones situation happening with Namor and his place on the throne or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So and this is where he hits on Scarlet Witch. And they kind of hit on each other. We find out that Namor's kingdom has also been affected by these quakes. So it's like he's not causing the quakes. Everyone's getting quakes. Their equivalent of Big Ben, their gigantic underwater clock, fell over.
Yes, 100%.
The bigger Ben, surface dweller,
not the wide whale clock. Oh no,
Imperious Rolex. So they're also like, and also there's a lot of unrest at the bottom because there are barbarians. Akuma is the barbarian lord here, and barbarians in Namor culture are people who are half fish.
Mm-hmm.
Like Namor is half human, but people who are like fish monsters are barbarians. And I was like, I understand this doesn't map onto real people, but this feels like this is based in racism. This feels like this is racist to me.
Yeah, all of the ugly people are barbarians. Guess that. Yeah. Guess how that happens, everybody. Like, Namor with his chiseled abs and beautiful prince face and huge whale dick is the perfect ideal of half human, half versus the guys that Superman. Look like underwater creatures and they live underwater, although they still wear clothes. Like, they all have a lot of armor on still, so whatever.
Yeah, I don't understand that part. I was hoping to see a lot of weird dicks. This is the most disappointing part of this episode. It's like, and then the next episode, I was like, wondering what the Zodiac's dicks are. Does Gemini have too? And it just didn't happen for me. So.
Is Scorpion's just one claw on one side?
Yeah, like instead of just like a regular dick with a claw at the end, like it just opens up to pee. So the Namor gets pissed. He's sick of all this stuff. He orders everyone out. Mm-hmm. We switch over to Akuma. Akuma's been causing the quakes because he wants to rule Atlantis and then the world.
Yep. And he's got like a machine to do this. I forget what they call it. It's the disintegrator or some weird shit like that. But yeah, he's got a machine. Yeah, a machine to do this. All of our Avengers, we go back over to the Avengers, and they're all pretty much restrained and in these, not prison cells, but they are, kept as prisoners. Vision just quickly frees Hank from his handcuffs and is like, oh yeah, by the way, if I'm out of sunlight for too long, like I'm gonna just stop working. I'm just gonna be a big like shitbag at the bottom of the ocean. You guys are gonna have to carry me around.
Wait, why didn't you tell us this?
Why didn't you tell us that as we were leaving the sunlight?
Yeah. As soon as someone said Namor, you should have held up your hand and been like, check, please.
Is this why you won't go on any Morpheus hunts with us? Because this is where Tigra also confesses. She's been terrified of water ever since she was transformed. So when she turned into Cat Lady, she's got this fear of water, and she didn't want to tell anybody. This is a weird side effect of being turned into like a tiger lady / cat lady / feline lady, is like having, like, do you think she compulsively plays with string and yarn and things like that? I
was actually thinking about that too. And then I realized that like there are no less than 4,000 images of sexy Tigra playing with yarn.
Oh,
like
God.
that is the internet. So
I'm just gonna type tiger yarn into my. Oh, it just comes up as yarn. Thank you. Oh no, wait. I have safe search enabled. Hold on.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's your first mistake. I always raw dog it. I don't do safe search ever. So
no, it's still just yarn. So yeah, good for us.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Good. But yeah, I think about that too. Like, what other cat instincts that she has? Like, does Tigra sleep 16 hours a day?
Does she leave little bird presents on the front of the Avengers page?
Be amazing. That'd be extremely cute. Like, and then you look down and it's the Wasp.
Oh no.
Tigra, no. I couldn't help it, y'all.
I just love y'all so much, I had to bring you a present.
Yeah. So she's confessing this. Another quake happens.
Yes.
And the room they're in breaks open and water pours in. So apparently this was like an air cell because their suits were damaged or taken off or whatever.
I guess, but like, why would they even have? How many times is Namor entertaining visitors from the surface world? Like, I don't want to get too far into the like logistics of Namor's Atlantis kingdom under the sea or anything. It just seemed real weird.
That Atlantis Simulator 2000.
Like, yeah, this is This is the 2019 Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah.
I just like why like when it broke open and water started pouring in, I was like, wait a minute, hold up, I have questions, please. Where are they? So yeah, water pours in and they have to save Tigra because she starts literally having a panic attack, which is kind of dope for a Saturday morning cartoon to show, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. It's kind of a silly fear because she's a cat human hybrid, but also, it's good to show heroes being scared, being afraid of things. So Falcon decides to save her. This is hinting at this kind of romance between them that's been simmering like real slow burn. Like he says something like, it's like the Avengers need you, I need you, or something like that. Everybody evacuates.
Yep.
And Vision blasts some of these blue guys that are attacking these barbarians and loses his power. And then Namor has been under a rock. And they find him, and he gets out, and then just starts punching Hank Pym.
Yep, because it's of course they brought Hank into the fold, and that was when the quakes started happening. Even though they've just said that the quakes had been happening before Hank Pym got there, it's still Hank Pym's fault.
And Hank Pym was in jail.
Yeah.
Like, did they think he just emanates quakes?
That's a whole different person. Her name
is
a
Quake. Tiger handheld. he's got a Tiger handheld of Quake 3 in his pocket. And just follows him wherever he goes.
Oh man, online only. This blows. Give me a single player campaign. Scarlet Witch, using her witchy powers, basically convinces Namor to like settle down and not attack them, and they team up instead, and then figure out very quickly where the bad guy is. And it's like, oh yeah, Namor needs to, we need to go over there where that Akuma guy is, and then they go over in the Quinjet, except for Namor, who's like, nah, I'm just gonna swim beside the Quinjet. I don't actually want to be inside with you people, which I thought was very, very funny.
Yeah, baller move.
Yeah.
They get there. One of the Avengers, I can't remember which dipshit it is, but he's like, "There's nothing here," and then Namor is like, "Not if you look closely," and picks up this just like a magical, like a dagger +2, +3 versus lycanthropes that's on the ground there, and says like, "Oh, these are the barbarians."
Yes.
And then then the barbarians attack. So it wasn't, the detective work is cut short pretty quickly.
It'd be like if after Sherlock was like, I just saw this and this and I connected that, and the guy just walked up and was like, hey, stop. I did it. You don't have to go through the whole thing, guys. I'm
me,
here.
Let's fight.
Let's go.
It's me, let's fight. Yeah. Hank says Tiger, he's like, "Hey, stay inside while the rest of us fight." Vision does his signature move.
Yes.
Where he becomes intangible and two people run into each other. Somebody calls Hank a pipsqueak or whatever, and he goes, "Oh yeah," and he gets a little bit taller and fights them.
Yeah. It'd be like if I went from 6'2" to 6'5" at the bar. Like if a guy like stepped up to me and I was like, "Oh yeah," and the guy was like, "That was a little weird, but I'm not really intimidated. Like, what are you doing right now? Now your shirt's untucked, your jeans are too high. I don't know." I don't know what you're doing to me, man. Like, whatever.
Are the sleeves rolled up, or are they just normal sleeves, but you fucked it up?
I was just mad that you played Love Shack 50 times on the jukebox, but you know what? I'll quit, I guess.
We don't need to make a big growing thing about this.
Big growing thing.
So Namor comes across some of his council here as well. And they're mad at him because he's half human. So there's some betrayal from the inside.
Sure.
It seems. And Hawkeye manages to save him. He's got his underwater bow, which I think he should have had harpoons.
I mean, come on. I mean, a bow would definitely work underwater, right? Like, that bows just work underwater.
For some reason in video games, crossbows always work underwater.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that's slower than a bullet. I don't understand. So Namor confronts Akuma. And Akuma says Namor is going to destroy the world, and we get into a fight.
Yes.
Here. Yeah. Namor destroys the device. It explodes. The device is triggering another quake, a mega quake. Jan knows this because the news guy gives her a little handout that says mega quake.
Jan just proving herself just very, very useful in London.
By receiving paper.
Thank you. Thank you, Wolf Blitzer, for this piece of information.
Maybe she used her wasp power to spin that paper. And that's why she was the one who was sent for this mission. Like, she created a bunch of, papyrus. And that's from her body.
I hate that font, and I hate this bit. Fucking wasp paper.
Yeah. She's always leaving, Hank Love notes written with her own paper and blood and stuff. It's true because it came from my body. Yes, dear.
Yes. I mean, there's a lot of things that come from my body that I don't give to you. So, can we just set some limits? Can we talk to Cozy Snugglefield about can we write in as Hank Pym? And...
Do you think Hank Pym, when he has to pee, he shrinks down so he can just pee a little bit and then grows big?
So, or do you think that are you asking if his pee shrinks with him? Is that the question at hand?
Well, it has to, right? Because if not, he explodes every time he shrinks.
Yeah.
So if his pee shrinks with him, if I was Hank Pym, I would, when I had to shit or piss, I would shrink down, do that, not create very much waste, and then get back to full size.
Yeah, that dude has never been constipated in his entire life, right? Or at least since he got his powers, because you could just shrink down real quick and then you're done.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. That would be a good part of, and not a long time ago, but when I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp, all the buildings in Ant-Man and the Wasp get shrunk down to be briefcase sized.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it, and I tweeted about it because I was like, none of these things are connected to pipes. Everyone's just shitting in the hallway in the Wasp lab because there's no pipes.
There's no bathrooms.
But I didn't think about it. They could actually just shrink down so small that it's no bigger than a mouse turd, and then you just paper towel it up. I guess it's a big advantage to these powers I didn't think about.
I'm just sitting here thinking I woke up hungover. I kind of feel like I need to puke. Am I going to try to shrink and then grow in the middle of puking? So I'm bigger and only a little bit of puke. You know what I'm saying? Do I try to catch the stuff in the middle so that it's not quite as bad? Because if I'm the same size as the puke is, it's going to be just as miserable. But if I try to grow as the puke is ejecting, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe it will stay normal size. Yeah, and it will just be like backwash.
Exactly. I could just spit that out, rinse it out with some Listerine, and I'm good to go. Time to drink again. Smarty girl, let's go.
Yeah. What we need to do is find like the cross between Tony Stark and Hank Pym so we can answer all these questions. Like, because Hank Pym is such a nerd, he probably does not wake up with like hangover diarrhea that often. So these are probably not questions that have been answered.
It's true.
So
Hank Pym has never taken a drink in his life.
Yeah,
fucking nerd.
The opposite's true too. If you had to pee and you got like giant size, you could pee a whole lot if you had some reason you needed a lot of urine.
Yeah, if Wasp was just really into some water sports like that, this would be a good thing.
If Hank Pym can grow food, then like why is there hunger? Like he could swallow a gobstopper, grow really big, throw up the gobstopper. It's the size of a car. And then everybody rinses it off, and then you have like gobstoppers for starving children,
Yeah, the problem is gobstoppers don't have nutritional value, Gary.
Well, but like,
problem number one with the gobstopper theory.
What if it was like a pill full of Soylent or something, Like you can't... Like, I don't know, man. I'm just thinking, like, being able to grow and shrink anything.
I feel like any of these super sscientists could probably come up with a cure for world hunger or the housing crisis or anything else besides building a suit of armor that flies.
It's 100% true. The real superheroes out there we have them and they just decide not to help. So money is the only superpower that matters, and tons of people have it and they're all villains. It sucks.
And they just get worse every single day.
Yeah.
So this giant, whatchamacallit device is about to trigger the mega quake, as as Wolf Blitzer has told Chan about. So they're all trying to break this device. Vision like makes himself intangible and looks in it. And they determine but he can't really come up with anything. So he's like, okay, just knock it over, I guess. So they all start knocking it over. This is Tiger's, kind of redemption moment where she flies in with the plane. Is like, hey, I can help when I'm not in water. And just shoots out some grapple hooks and starts helping them pull it down, which I think is great. Like, good job.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They start pulling it down. I think Vision like gets up on top of it and becomes ultra dense to push it down further. Like it's a lot of like business about how fast the tower falls down.
Yes.
It falls down into this underwater lava stream, so they're taking care of it. Afterwards, they're heading to go clean up England because they defeated Akuma and the earthquake and the Quake 3 device. And they say like, Namor, do you want to help us? And he says, nope. Like, I also have a society that got blown up. Like, remember? Fucking jerks.
Atlantis first, right, Gary?
Yeah, exactly. And Scarlet Atlanteans first. And Scarlet Witch, if you're ever in the mood for some easy company, you know where to go.
Yeah. Just come down here. Just put on your weird underwater armor that you definitely have like holes in strategic places for, and I will take you to the Love Kingdom.
Yep, I will take you to the Love Conch.
We're gonna make our own special pearls together, Wanda.
Yep. So then they're leaving, and there's a little comedy bit here where Vision is getting a tan, which I hate, and everyone jokes about it, and that's the comedy thing. And Ultron's been watching Vision get a tan on TV.
Yeah, Vision with the literal like tinfoil from the 80s, kind of like reflecting the sun onto my body thing is some
sunglasses?
Of the yeah. Oh, and the sunglasses even worse.
Yeah.
But really, the thing that really gets me here is when it zooms out and Ultron has been watching this on TV the entire time through invisible cameras, like that just are also like maybe just Fox Kids is where he's watching this. I don't know. It's a real meta statement. But yeah, Ultron is there at the end like he has been for the last like 6 episodes. So.
I like the fact that that Ultron is surprised that the Avengers are still alive is really weird. Like he says, he's like, the Avengers, they're still alive. And I'm like, you haven't gotten close to killing the Avengers, dog. The last time we saw the Avengers, you sent some plant robots to go inconvenience them. Like it, there's nothing, you haven't even come close to succeeding. And then he says, it's time to take matters in my own hands, which doesn't happen. Yeah. Like the next episode is not about that. So good job, Avengers Assemble.
Does Ultron even show up in the next episode? I don't think he does.
No. He doesn't even get to watch the next one on TV.
Presumably, so, maybe the one after starts with him reviewing everything.
It's Hulu. He has to wait a week until after the thing happens.
Most recent episode, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that we didn't talk about in this that I absolutely hate is the underwater filter that happens throughout this episode.
I was going to mention that because it makes Namor, like it makes parts of his skull big or small depending on what's happening with it.
Yeah,
so he just looks like this wavering idiot.
It's really terrible. I don't like it. It's and it makes, you know what it reminds me of? I know you haven't done a lot of VR stuff, but it reminds me when you get like, you start getting like, oh, I'm about to get queasy when you're in VR. Like that kind of moment where you're like, oh, everything looks just a little bit wrong throughout but it lasts for a good 22 minutes solid. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty silly. Does not look good. And just like the designs, like you think Namor would be kind of a good, character to have for this kind of art style because he's very simple, but no, it doesn't actually work. Like he doesn't have a lot of lines on his body, which is good, but they still can't draw him consistently. And his cheekbones keep being a little bit like higher up or too low, depending, Yeah,
it's the issue that I have is and this is consistent throughout the show, like they don't know how to match upper and lower bodies and heads. Everything is just the proportions of everybody are off in different ways in different scenes. So it's not like he has a huge chest and a tiny head throughout the entire episode. It just varies depending on how they're drawing him and where he is, like for perspective, I guess. So it just looks awful, and then it starts wavering around like you've applied some shitty Photoshop filter to it.
I when I went to San Francisco and recorded an episode of What a Cartoon with the Talking Simpsons guys, and those guys are big animation dorks, and we did the Spider-Man animated series, and that they're pretty harsh on the animation in that show, which I think because I've been raised in the season 5 X-Men Avengers United They Stand ghetto, I feel like it's actually kind of good, and I was trying to like express to them how bad the animation is in this cartoon. Like, if you actually were, I'm not a big animation guy, but if I cared more, like, this would be unwatchable to me. Like, as it is, it's just kind of bad, but I can kind of unfocus my eyes and not give too much of a shit. It's exceedingly bad, though. It's really, really hard to express how bad these characters' designs look in motion.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Yeah. Rough stuff. Moving on to the second episode we're covering today, Shooting Stars. When satellites are blasted out of their orbits, the whole world is threatened. It's like a cool fortune cookie. Like
in bed.
The Avengers recruit Tony Stark into their ranks to assist them. That doesn't happen. They find Tony Stark already dealing with it, and they help Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And this episode, like, in general, like, I kind of like this episode once we get to the second half. There's roughly like 10 minutes of just stuff about a falling satellite in the beginning that sucks. Like, until they start fighting the members of Zodiac, I don't care about this. And I thought this was going to be like really shitty. And then the Zodiac weirdos, including like Giggling Water Wizard, who's my favorite, start showing up, and I'm like, yes.
Who is not named Aquemini, but should definitely be named Aquemini, because that's really what I want.
Or Aquarius.
Yeah, he's probably Aquarius. I just, everything should be named after. Actually, if you named the Zodiac after Outcast albums, I would actually be here for it. God. Like Lord Aquemini, Lord Stinkonia.
I'm the love below.
I'm the love below. Come on.
Speaker box. Use your sonic blasters.
This feels like a Grant Morrison Doom Patrol thing if I've ever heard of one. Where are you at, Grant?
Oh my god. I would do that because you could have the name of that collective was like the Dungeon Crew or whatever.
Yeah,
is the name of that Atlanta, and it'd be like the Dungeon Crew versus, and it was all the Outcast albums as personified as villains. Like, yeah, they're all like the forces of ATLians. Like,
oh man, so good.
Fucking hell, dude.
Let's go listen to some Outcasts and stuff talking about this. Let's just turn this into an Outcast podcast for and just see if anybody notices for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, the Outcast with a K is already, or podcast with a K is already a good name for that.
I bet somebody has definitely done that, right?
Oh yeah.
Let's just
that'd be a great band to do like an album by album podcast on, though, because there aren't very many albums and they're all good and interesting.
Oh, lame! So. It's a Doctor Who podcast.
Oh, fuck you. Doctor Who needs to stop ruining everything that exists. Like, Whovians. Anywho. Vians.
Where do we start out in this? Let me get back to my notes. Yes, so we start out with Lord Taurus, who is a giant, like, I'm going to say black bull, and I realize it has a lot of racial overtones, but just to explain myself, like, he's like a deep cosmic black with red outlines giant bull. Like, it's a weird-looking dude with very odd pants.
He's wearing these, like, purple and yellow star pants. There's a guy who is at the old branch of Fire on the Mountain that I used to go to, who was like amazingly extra. Who was like a waiter who wore pants like this all the time. They were like bicycle shorts, but had like cosmic patterns on them, and incredibly tight, left nothing to the imagination, right? And he wore them every day. And I was like, man, that's ballsy to wear like your galaxy tight pants like every single day to work.
Man, that's good.
And that's what Taurus wears. But he's got a real case of like tiny legs, big torso too. Like he's like a big strong guy who never lifts anything or punches anything.
Definitely skipping.
He's a schemer.
He's just he's like the leader of this little troop of fucking weirdos. We meet.
Do you know what they are? I went on some research. I did some research because I was like, what the fuck are Zodiac? Like I remember reading a comic, Nick Fury comic where he fights them, and I was trying to figure out what they were. And it's like the first incarnation, they're just crime lords. Which is what I thought these ones were, because they had an audience with the swordsman. Does that seem where they chastise the swordsman seem stranger to you in retrospect, Jeremy, now that you know that these are all aliens from different races?
Yeah, like why do they need like weird exploding stuff from Earth from the swordsman?
I don't think like the aliens recruited the swordsman. Because before that, they were just a crime syndicate, and that made sense. And then they were androids, and then they were aliens. There's like 7 versions of the Zodiac in Marvel Comics.
I'm glad you did this research, so I absolutely did not have to.
Yeah, I was just wanted for my own knowledge. Like as somebody who vaguely knows a little bit about Marvel, I was like, I don't know anything about these guys, and the reason why is because there's 17 different versions of them, and they all kind of suck.
Yeah.
So this is probably the best version of them, because the Crime Lord ones didn't have powers or anything. They were just like 12 themed costumes. You know, these ones at least have like weird powers and stuff, including Aquarius, the outcast cast in Weather Witch guy who I love.
Yeah.
He just giggles and he owns the fucking Avengers. All it takes is Hydro Man to kill all the Avengers.
It's so funny, man. He just continuously knocks down Iron Man. Like Iron Man's suit has never been exposed to the elements before.
Yep.
Like it's like a leather jacket. I don't want to take this motherfucker out in the rain. It could get ruined. I paid $200 for this Iron Man suit. I'm not trying to get it wet. What the fuck is your problem? I know we camped out on Lord Scorpio for a while, but like just picture in your head like this dude. You know what it looks like, because we've been rewatching the Venture Brothers when we're in season 2. It very much looks like a Venture Brothers outtake villain, like one of those dudes in the background of a Guild of Calamitous Intent party.
The Guild, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. It's just the giant tail coming off the head. His right hand being a giant claw, his left hand just being a hand. Like it's so fucking weird.
Well, and the tail that comes out of his head, like, oftentimes kind of goes to one side, so he has this weird asymmetrical look that just feels like it'd be hard for him to walk.
Yeah.
You know? Like, like that tail, like a cat uses a tail for balance, you know? And so what this guy does to balance out his mega arm is he has to have this head tail that kind of, like, tilts him, you know, a little bit, but he's always just balancing. It's like a Coke can when you drink half of it and you tip it on its on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. That's what it's got to be like walking around as this guy, and that's why he's an IT guy. He's the IT Scorpion, as opposed to being, an actual supervillain.
This implies. So, do you think that this appendage is functioning? Like
the tail?
Yeah. Can he move? He doesn't do it in the episode. I'm just asking for Gary Butterfield's opinion on this. Like, do you think he can lift it up and like just sting somebody with it? Like, does it have a muscle? Like, does he lift with this?
I pray. I pray that he can. I really hope that like when we get to the finale of these guys, because spoiler, like this isn't the end of these guys, unless they just decide not to follow up on it. That at some point somebody corners him, and they assume that because he's a nerd, he's not going to fight back, and then he head stings him.
Man, I can't wait to see a head sting. Like I don't give a shit about pro wrestling whatsoever. Like I'm so fucking tired of seeing anything about pro wrestling. But boy, would I like to see, if someone said that they had a move called the head stinger. Like I would just tune in I would look it up on YouTube once. Is what I would do. Like that's the limit of how I'm interested in this. I
would be like the world's biggest wrestling fan if all of the wrestlers were based on these guys.
Oh, if you had the Zodiac tournament, guys? Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I want Zodiac Smash Brothers. Like I'm into that.
I like that way better than normal Smash Brothers. That's for sure.
Yeah. Like, King Cruel joined the fight. Who gives a shit? Give me Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini. Do we see Gemini in the scene, or did they come up later?
No, he shows up later, but he looks like if you took two like in like an 80s movie, if they had to have a fake new wave band, if you had two movie execs come up with two of them and then smash them together. Like, we need the guy who plays keyboard for Dazzler's band, and we need the guy who plays keyboard for Leela Cheney's band.
Yep.
And then they just slammed them together.
That's what we call in the biz a twofer, son.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Avengers get this call that basically satellites are getting knocked out of the air for some reason. Lord Taurus is basically...
This is a good sentence, man. I know that we're still on this first line of this thing, but Lord Taurus and the rest of the Zodiac are incredibly dumb-looking people who have some sort of plan, period.
They just started talking in proper nouns. They were like, we gotta clear the skies for the Zodiac key, or so. They were just started... Like, I was just overloaded with information. Incredibly
dumb-looking people who have some sort of plan is a very like I wish that had been the synopsis, the official synopsis of the episode.
If I ever start a podcast network, that's going to be the tagline. Incredibly dumb-looking people who have some sort of a plan.
So yeah, they're looking for a thing called the Zodiac Key, which is another Marvel MacGuffin thing that shows up in comics sometimes. We go back to the Avengers Mansion. Hank has a bunch of satellites knocked out of the air because he gets owned, and they go to investigate it. Try to shoot it out of its descent. The satellite's falling, it's like it's going to kill everyone in Chicago.
No, we're not even to Chicago yet. Like this, the Chicago.
Oh, we're not later.
Yeah. This is
God, all this shit about stuff falling from the sky is so boring.
Yeah.
Like this all runs together.
We go through. I think there's two other satellites we go through before we get to the Chicago one. Like this one is just falling, and they're like, we have to knock it out of its trajectory. They're like, okay, knock it out, and like Vision does a thing. And I think Tigra gets on the screen and is like, we were lucky this time. It landed in Australia. And I really thought she was just going to end it with that. Just be like, it just landed in Australia, fellas.
Don't worry about that criminal colony. Like, they're okay.
We don't have to worry about those guys. But no, it was in a desolate area, so nobody was there. And it wasn't nuclear powered. Gary, did you know that satellites had nuclear cores in them?
I feel like there's a real good chance they don't.
It seems kind of dangerous to just have a bunch of nuclear bombs floating over the United States. I mean, or the world for that matter. But I don't know. We have kind of a dumb world right now, so maybe we do.
Unless the idea was for them to shoot those nuclear, bombs
like a missile defense force, like a space force, if you will.
Yeah. So next up to the next satellite, the one in Texas, nuclear powered. Vision thinks he can redirect it using his heavy arm power. He turns heavy. He reconnects it, detonates the core before it gets in the atmosphere. Great. Then Wasp says, "Oops, all satellites. We have a level 5 situation." Because during that time, Vision died. He exploded, and he's gone. But he just turns out not to be. It happens instantly. There's no tension. Everyone's really happy. Like, even Hawkeye's like, hey, Vision! All right. It's like, he was gone for 2 seconds, and he can turn intangible. Why do you ever think he's dead?
Yeah. They do this again later in the episode, and he just pops up as fine, and I'm like, it's Vision. He can literally just turn intangible. Like, why are you guys worried about this all of the time? Like, I know there's a Wonder Man in there.
Unquestionably the most powerful person on this team. Like, it's
well, in terms of having two powers that are the opposite of each other, yes, I agree.
Yes. So another all satellites. Another satellite's falling towards Chicago. It's going to destroy all of Illinois. So they have to knock that one down.
I like this because they try to lean into Scarlet Witch's powers, because Vision, they knock it off a little bit, and Vision says that there's a 1.2% chance that it's going to miss Chicago, and Scarlet Witch says, but there's a chance, and then does her witch magic and makes it land in a lake, and everything's fine.
Yeah, it's the one time that her powers have ever been used in a way that makes sense.
But also, when she does that, she does shoot beams at it. I just want to make sure that that's real clear. She does shoot chance beams at it, which sounds like that sounds like a Chance the Rapper album, Chance Memes, but it's not. It's just what they do in this episode.
The idea that because in the last episode, I'm not going to point out every time because I pointed out plenty, but she's like, let the winds of fate change their course. And what that means is she shoots a laser.
Yep.
And I guess there's probably a small chance a laser would spontaneously come out of her hands at any given time. And she's increased that to a large chance. But it's taking a very interesting power set and making it stupid.
Yeah. Which is fine, because they have no, they don't want to have any imagination with this. All of the imagination is dealt with the armor.
Yeah. Yep. The armor does all the heavy lifting, quite literally. So this whole sequence with all the satellites lasts like approximately 20 minutes, and we still have a lot of episode to go.
Yeah, this is a 70,000 minute episode of TV.
Yeah,
it's how it felt when I was
boring.
watching it this afternoon. I was like, man, I could be doing anything with my life. I hope we get some goofs out of this.
We switch back to the Zodiac, who are going to use the Zodiac key. They're still talking about their plan. They're like, we're going to blow up some more space stations. Back on Earth, the Avengers get a message from Tony Stark. It comes up, it shows up on a CDR.
This is the best thing. Like, from space, he sent them a space CD, which has like an encoded message on it and they're like, oh, it's Tony Stark from the space station. And then they start playing it, and then Tony says, I'm Tony Stark from the space station as Iron Man. Like, he introduces himself to the Avengers, which is, I mean, I guess he didn't know who would get the CDR, right? Like when he burned it and just threw it down at Earth.
It's true with any CDR.
You never know what's on them bitches, Gary. Like the Sharpie writing will lie to you.
Yeah, this says Postal Service from Great Heights, but I don't know that it's that.
The Dreamcast version of Power Stone, weird.
So he says he needs help. The team splits up. There's gonna be a ground crew and a space crew. Wanda wants to help.
I have this written down because I'm pretty sure this happened. But what does the ground crew do? Do they ever do anything? Because it's pretty much all space from this point on, right?
I think it's just they didn't want to animate that many characters.
Okay, cool.
Like they have 12 Zodiac characters. Not all of them fight, but like this show is not good at doing big crowd scenes. Like this makes me yearn for the days of X-Men fighting.
Oh, seriously,
the fucking Imperial Guard,
or the X-Men fighting the Nasty Boys. Like probably the highlight of that show for me. Looking back,
yeah. Like those are good fights. These are not good fights. So they just had to leave half the people down so they don't have to spend more than $20 on animation.
I don't think we mentioned it, but when Wanda did her her chance memes in Save Chicago, she kind of gets faint, like she starts glowing weird. She starts glowing kind of weird, and she kind of faints. So at this point, when they're dividing up the team, she's like, "No, I want to help," and Hank's like, "No, you really shouldn't." And she's like, "But I'm gonna," and she's like, "Okay," because Hank is a terrible Avenger leader.
Hank just smiles then too. He does this real weird there's a test and you passed. Gotcha. And her hands start glowing pretty soon too, which is weird. Like we'll get into the stuff with Wanda that happens in this episode is dumb bullshit.
Oh my god, I hate it.
Yeah. So in space, we get Iron Man just getting owned by the Zodiac. Like the Zodiac are the most powerful supervillains that have ever been. Iron Man, who has killed the Ironmonger and killed innumerable villains, like gone toe to toe with Kang the Conqueror, and Thanos is now getting just owned by the Zodiac. On the way to the space station, Hawkeye is impatient, and Scarlet Witch detects a presence. This is when her hand shit starts happening, right? Her hands start glowing.
I think so. Like it might be a little bit later, but yeah, they have to go through.
What happens twice? There's some foreshadowing where somebody says like your hands, and she goes, "It's nothing," but they're like glowing pink and translucent. What do you mean it's fucking nothing?
No, that's something, Wanda. That's definitely something. And we're the Avengers, so you could be either about to explode or turn into the Hulk. It could be either one. Yeah. We don't know.
Y'all got bad hand. Don't hide your bad hand from the rest of the crew.
You got to share that, like her fear of water. Tiger from the back. Hey, I got over that.
Did you learn nothing from next episode? Learn anything from next episode? The Vision is gonna be like, I need air to recharge. It's like, fuck.
Again?
Stop doing this stuff when we get there.
This is the neediest. This is the neediest android I've ever seen in my life.
Hank Pym's gonna have to, the same way like a dad has to say, like, does anyone have to use the bathroom before this road trip? He's just gonna be like, listen, we're going to the Arctic. Is anyone depowered and or scared of the cold? Like.
What a weird way for Hawkeye to find out he's scared of Arctic penguins. I didn't know they would be here. You didn't ask me, okay?
You didn't.
I don't like tuxedos either, and I told you that.
I assumed you'd figure it out. So Falcon and Hawkeye fly on over to where Iron Man's going to be.
Hawkeye, by the way, is on a space scooter. I just want to, because he's not he doesn't have the power of flight, which neither should Falcon, but whatever.
Because there's no air.
There's no air in space. I don't want to insult you space nerds out there, but there's no air in space, everybody.
The Zodiac sends over a spaceship, but it's cloaked. Hank just kind of fires. He can't see shit. The ship hits Falcon. And Falcon starts tumbling towards these turbines of the spaceship.
Yep.
So the spaceship has turbines.
Yes.
that turn what? Nothing. There's no atmosphere.
There's no
they're just spinning nothing. They're just blades to kill Falcon.
The good news is that once you power them up and turn them and get them to that speed, you don't need any power to keep them turning because there's no air in space.
Yeah,
there's no drag.
Them. Yeah, yeah. Why do we know more about space than the Avengers?
Is this a team's first adventure in space? You think?
I think
first
so.
time they've been off Earth.
They're getting used to their chin costumes for this. So, Falcon is coming towards that. Hawkeye shoots arrows to stop the turbines.
Yes.
Yeah. So, good job, Hawkeye.
They get onto the space station, and Hank is basically like, hey, this space station has a whole lot of nuclear missiles on it, which... Why? Why did the Avengers? If they really want to prevent some natural disasters, maybe they could talk to the government about not arming the space stations above the world with nuclear.
Every
missiles.
celestial body has to be full of nukes.
What
in this cartoon? don't understand. This is what everyone's working towards in Metal Gear Solid 5. Is trying to get all the nukes off Earth and onto the space station, and they succeeded.
Meanwhile, Wanda starts having a panic attack of the Zodiac variety. So she says that she was trained. That's I said it. It's a thing. Look it up. She says that she was trained in the ways of the stars from Sorceress, and she names the Sorceress, which I'm sure
Agatha
is like
Harkness.
Agatha Harkness, thank you. Which I believe is an actual Marvel character, if memory serves. But she can sense something happening, and she points at the radar, like the little ship screen, and says, "There's where the ship is," and it just becomes visible on the screen. And Hank's like, "I can see it now." This is a dope ass power if she could control this in any way, and if it made sense in any kind of way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Her glowing eyes and hands make the ship appear.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So they start shooting the ship. We switch over to Lord Scorpio. He's got his gigantic claw, and he's sitting there scheming.
I was because the entire time we have not seen this guy's hands. I was very, very surprised to know that his right hand was just a giant claw. I rewound it.
Giant, like really big, like the size of like a 10-year-old curled up. Like it's big.
It's really huge. Yeah. I mean, how do you do anything with that claw? How do you, and again, is this just who he is? Is that a part of him, or is this an outfit? I can't tell.
He's an alien. They're not outfits. Like these guys are aliens that are shaped this way. But they're all representing different cultures.
But his face is cut out like it's an opening in a costume, like it's a Halloween costume. Like his face flesh is a different color than his
crab flesh.
I didn't want to say it, but yes, his crab flesh.
if he's an alien and he decided to dress up in this costume, it's even weirder. Like if he's a normal looking alien and decided to wear this, like
this is his homeworld's version of Gucci, and he's really styling. Somebody give me the Gucci version, or the Zodiac version of that Gucci song by that chick whose name I will never remember again.
I don't know. So Falcon and Hawkeye meet up with Iron Man to fight the Zodiac. They're getting owned. Iron Man says, "Hey, the whole station is filled with explosives." So we have to go take out the detonators. But the Zodiac attacks again. This way we get some cool like power stuff again. The water guy who can also teleport like around. He can like appear in from walls, and all of them can turn invisible. And I don't really know why. Like maybe one of the Zodiacs have that power. It's not really explained, but they're kind of doing hit and run tactics and just destroying the Avengers.
Yeah.
Until eventually, like Iron Man says, like, "Hey, you have to take out some kind of thing." Like he blows up a canister or something that scares them off by taking his weird costume boomerangs and turning them into a bow.
Yes. Yeah. I don't. No, he hits a button that what I thought was about to happen. He was hitting a button to close the door, like vent these dudes to space,
like open an airlock.
Yeah, but we don't see any of that. We just the airlock closes and they just continue with the story. We're like, those dudes don't even exist. So
somebody in the writers' room was like, "Wouldn't that suck out the Avengers too?" And then somebody said, like, "This actually airs in 10 minutes. we have to animate this and finish writing it in 10 minutes." So
and somebody else said, "Where's my next 8-ball? You promised me another 8-ball if I did another 2 minutes of writing."
Like, here, it's mostly baking soda, but it'll get you through the night. Like, let's go. Let's actually go. So anywho, the Scorpio shoots at the Avengers, and the Avengers seem like the ship is falling, but they just stabilize. Yeah. Like nothing really happens.
And they can't move. I think like their thrusters, I guess their space turbines are disabled, so they can't move.
Yeah.
And they launch Scorpio launches a nuclear missile at him at the ship, and Hank says, "Hey, I can't move this ship because if I do, that missile can get to Earth. Instead, Iron Man, Hawkeye, and Falcon, you guys have to change the trajectory, and we're going to send Vision to help you." And even though Vision can fly, we get this weird scene where Vision like flies out and grabs hold of Hawkeye's space scooter as if he's like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's drifting, like he's fucking Marty McFly at the beginning of Back to the Future.
He's skitching.
Yeah. Oh God, I forgot the word skitching. Jesus Christ, you just brought me back.
That's one of the most specific verbs in the English language.
Skitching?
Like, like to skitch. Like most verbs have multiple purposes. You know, like you can push something, and that means you can either like physically move it, or you can get somebody to do something, or you can like push your luck. Like you continue to do something, like anything. You know, I can push it, and that can mean anything. Skitching only means one thing. Like it's a very specific verb.
Yeah, nobody ever has sketched anything and then said like, I agree.
There's sketch my way into this conversation.
Yeah,
you know, I'm gonna start doing that. Like you can sketch your way into a conversation. Like somebody's talking about something you know about, and you just kind of like come up and be like, "Yeah, did you know this?" It's like you sketched your way into the conversation.
I feel like that's like another version of Kool-Aid manning yourself into a conversation, right? Like where you just barge in, like, "I know about this. Let me tell you everything about it."
Sketching would be you just help out somebody else until eventually you're just in the conversation. Like it's like a subtle Kool-Aid man.
It's one of those,
aka a Powerade man.
It's one of those things on Twitter that happens where two people you know are talking about something that you know about, and you kind of want to chime in, but at the same time you don't want to chime in and be like that guy that chimes in and interrupts a conversation with like actual not like you don't want to jump in and be like, well, you know, let me tell you about all of this Darkstone stuff that I know. Like you don't want to do that, but
it happens.
Oh, absolutely.
But you don't want to.
Absolutely, it does. Don't be that person, by the way. Just maybe here's some great advice on how to be good at Twitter. Don't tweet ever.
At the very least, like if you're like mutuals with everybody involved and you want to join into a conversation, like that's okay. I think. You know, like you just know everybody, but just like be careful about responding to strangers, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, there's that tweet that was like, if I retweet something and you decide to respond to it, don't fucking embarrass me.
Yes.
How about when you respond, just respond to me?
Well, you can't. Twitter doesn't let you anymore. Like
you're right.
It's going to tag both of you. That's the problem. Twitter keeps actively making their functionality worse and worse and worse over the years.
Constantly.
Oh man. I was looking through screenshots the other day, and I don't know if I've told you this story. A long time ago, before I started watching Parks and Rec, I like added not Adam Carolla. Who was the guy on Parks and Rec that was in Party Down? Adam Scott. Thank you. And like I just followed him on Twitter one day, and like he said something on Twitter, and I was like, I don't even remember why I'm following you, man. Like, cause I totally forgot who Adam Scott was. Like, I was just like, I don't know who this person is. And he but it was old Twitter, right? So like he like had to like quote tweet me, but it wasn't a quote tweet. Like he was just like always happy to meet a friend, and then like put parentheses around my tweet, which was like very small. And like all of these people started jumping. Like, he's never seen Step Brothers. He's a piece of shit. Like I got a bunch of hate mail for it. but I was going through the screenshot, and like you're looking at Twitter, and it's just illegible. Like I was like, how did people use this? Like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
Adam Scott owned me once on Twitter, is the moral of that story.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to choose to side with Adam Scott. He's very charming, Jeremy. I'm sorry to say.
You got Autumn on.
Thank you for disclosing.
On You Talking You Two to Me, or I think there's an REM version of that too, I think.
It's still the same feed, but now it's Are You Talking REM, RE Me? Are you...
But she's very much enjoyed it. Yeah. She's been telling me all about it. So Adam Scott's a good dude.
That podcast is the best. It's extremely funny. I've said this a million times, but the funniest thing about that show is like they're very funny comedians, and they're old men with super shitty taste in music.
Yeah.
So like they will just go from like being like making really good jokes and then being like, man, the drums in the song are so crisp. Like I love how big and crisp the drums are. It's just like, yeah, no, I see what you mean, but also they're kind of understated. So Scorpio shoots a missile at them. As we mentioned, the Avengers, the Vision stuff, they go out because there's so much changing fucking trajectory in this episode. They go out to change some trajectory. The Avengers ship shields are down, so Tony has to hook up his shield in case they get hit by it. They say, "Oh, but your heart." He says, "I don't care." So he's using the power of his heartbeats to protect the Avengers Quinjet. Vision guides the missile through space where it explodes, or to the space station where it explodes, sending the ship reeling, but everything's more or less okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Hank is mad, and Tony Stark is mad. They're like, who is behind this? It switches over to Taurus. They've got out of there. They've decloaked or whatever, cloaked back up. And they say, those idiots thought we wanted the satellites. What we really needed was the space, which I think is kind of cool. Like, they just needed the satellites gone.
Yeah.
Because they need the space to use the Zodiac key for something called the convergence that I really hope actually gets paid off. So if not, it's going to be very frustrating. But they just needed to get stuff out of the way, which I think is kind of clever.
Like, we have put so much space trash around the world that the supervillains can't get their supervillain plan done, which is really like a blessing, like a very shoot yourself in the foot kind of situation. I like that when Hank is like, we need to figure out who this is. Tony says the same thing, except he phrases it like, yes, everybody at Stark Industries would like to know as well. And I'm like, can you just crawl out of your own CEO ass for a while and just be a human? Like, somebody is attacking the world. You don't need to be a CEO right now, Tony.
I need to make sure all of my employees, all my partners, Stark Industry calls their employees partners or some bullshit.
Oh yeah. And then finally, I guess we do get this. What we see, like, when he starts talking about the convergence, we see this blue light come down, I guess, on Earth, and like we see this Zodiac key thing like rotate to a different thing, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And then we go over to Wanda, who is relaxing on her bed, like most people do, in full regalia, in full Scarlet Witch. Yep. I know I like to get dressed up in my full work clothes and then go lay on my bed and take a nap. Actually, that's not far from the truth. Yeah. It's 2018. I'm kind of tired. Yeah. But she's just laying there in the full outfit and has a vision of this and kind of freaks out and is like, this isn't over. And that's where the episode ends.
Yep. So hopefully it's not over. Yep. Yeah. And then that's the end of the episode, which again, I liked some of the fights in this. We didn't really talk about them very much, but I like that they're weirdos with powers. And I like that the Avengers are losing, but there's way too much time adjusting trajectories. So.
Yeah, there are tiny good things in both of these episodes that we covered today, like the Tigra stuff, like I mentioned. Tigra? Mm-hmm. I think I've been varying between the two. I'm just going to go Tigra because who cares? But and the Namor stuff was okay. Like that's always somewhat fun. In this episode, nothing really works for me except for the audacity of having these like dumbass looking Zodiac villains, and really the only thing that I'm excited for in the rest of this Avengers cartoon is just seeing more of the Zodiac. Like, I want to see the rest of them, or all of them in a line. Hopefully I can get that screenshot to just put as the cover art one day, because boy howdy, is it fucking ridiculous.
I don't even think if there's 12 of them, I don't even think we saw all of them.
I think we've only seen like 4 or 5.
Yeah, like, and so we have coming up, what a Vision has to do. Extreme Vengeance. Okay. And then the Sorcerer's Apprentice. So I don't know what those episodes are exactly, but the last one is Earth and Fire Part 1 and 2, which makes me think that that is going to pay off on this Zodiac shit.
That Sorcerer's Apprentice thing has definitely have to be Doctor Strange in some way, yeah.
And that Extreme Vengeance has to be the omelet maker.
Yes. Or that weird Spider-Man arc where he starts laying eggs and a bunch of little baby Spider-Men come out of him.
That's extremely weird. They all have Peter Parker's face.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very weird. They all call him Uncle Ben.
The Egg-Stracular. Eggman.
Egg-Stracular. Egg-Spacular. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to just how stupid this can get, and then never thinking about this cartoon again in my entire life. So, let's get way deep in the dirt, and then we can go wash off and have like the best shower that we've ever had.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
If people like this show, what can they do?
Go to Duckfeed. No, god damn it, I did it again. Go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and support the show directly. A couple of bucks a month will give you access to all sorts of cool stuff. You get to choose like which games Cole and Gary play for a certain podcast. You get access to the Slack channel, which I think is at the $5 tier now, which is super dope. Mm-hmm. That's still a very cool place. Like in 2018, like I think that's been going for like 3 years now. I'm slowly working my way through Abject Suffering. It was like episode 100 and something, and you mentioned the Slack in that, and I was like, man, that's from 2015. Has it really been going that long? But I guess it has.
Yeah. Yep. Super long.
Yeah.
It's fun time. Yeah.
Also, we haven't had a review for this show in a long time. So if you're a listener and you haven't reviewed it, like maybe throw it up a review on iTunes for us.
That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We would definitely appreciate that. People ask me on Twitter from time to time. They say, hey, how do I get you guys to do a game on WoW? Or they'll say, you guys need to do this game on WoW. And it's like, well, that's the Patreon thing. Like you can make that happen. We built a pathway for that, Mm-hmm. So if that's something you want, there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
And if you just like this show, again, ratings and reviews and just coming out and hanging out in the Slack and talking about X-Men shit, or Avengers shit, is very appreciated.
Yeah. And in non-Duckfeed news, because this is the first time I've recorded since we did this, me and my buddy Chris over at Monster of the Week have released 2 Patreon exclusive podcasts for our own Patreon. But you can listen to the first episode of each on just go to MOTW Cast on Twitter and find all those links. But one is a Witcher podcast. We're going through the Witcher books. And one is a Cowboy Bebop podcast, which is a much better anime than the X-Men anime. And watching those back to back was an experience and a half.
I can only imagine.
So go check all that stuff out too. Like if you like me and you like me doing this show, me and Chris doing Cowboy Bebop is much the same, except Cowboy Bebop is better than the Avengers by a long shot. But no Lord Scorpios, so potato.
So it's really 6 and 1/2, half dozen the other.
Well, give and take there. But thank you everybody for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more Days of Future Cast, and until then,
good night, everybody.
Don't let your pincher get pinched or something.
Yep. It's just like, yeah, no, I see what you mean, but also
Gary,
kind of
I gotta go. Hold on.
Oh shit! Adam Scott walked into his house.
Sorry about that, man.
It's okay. Did Adam Scott walk into your house?
Yeah, he was. We said his name 3 times, and he came to Rain, Louisiana.
Hello. Oh shit!
No, there was I heard a bunch of dogs snarling and fighting, so I didn't know what was going on.
Oh yeah,
so, yeah.
I assumed it was dog.
It was apparently a very valuable treat that somebody that Rosie decided she needed 2 of, and maybe was like, "Fuck you, bitch! I've been here a long time."
Listen, new fish.
Jesus Christ. So yes, are you that podcast is very good, and we should finish this episode.
Oh yeah, we're almost done.
Oh yeah.